Hello, hello. Welcome to Get Invested. This is our 6th episode. Remember, I'm going to count until counting seems ridiculous. This is our 6th episode of Get Invested, a podcast with my best friend Matthias and also business partner. Today, I'm excited to say that we're switching up a little bit. We actually have a guest who's going to be with us the whole time talking finance. So I'm going to pass it to Matthias to introduce our guest, and we're going to go from there.
Hey, everyone. Matthias here. I'd like to introduce our guest, Adam Nederhoff. He's a financial advisor, did some insurance before that, lives in Iowa, happens to be married to my wife's sister, brother-in-law Adam here. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and launch off here. I got a question, and I'm going to, just to kind of lead us in here, what got you into financial advising and advice to people?
Yeah, really good question. So I actually had an interest in becoming a financial advisor when I got out of college. I graduated from college, didn't really know what I was going to do. So I was kind of trying to explore some options. I was working at a bank at the time and I did some interviewing. There was a certain firm that I interviewed with, got through the process, and actually went through they have you do, when you become a financial advisor, they have you do a personality test. At that time, 22-year-old Adam Nederhoff apparently wasn't a salesperson, so they told me I probably wasn't a good fit for me. So I kind of continued on the path of banking, and then got into insurance a little bit. That was kind of a family thing. Got back into banking after that, and then the timing was right, and the financial advisor, the team that I joined, the practice that I joined, they were looking to grow a little bit. So the timing was right for me, for our family, all that. But all in all, the reason that I really I wanted to help people, and I know the mistakes that I've made as a young person, and I've also gone through the process of paying off debt and starting to accumulate and starting to build wealth. So I want to make sure that other people are on that same path, and that especially young people. I really love working with young people, because I know the mistakes that I've made, and I can prevent them from making those mistakes and set them out on the right foot. So in a nutshell, that's kind of why I got into it.
Very cool. Just personal note, I think Matthias knows this, but when I was in college, I applied to work at the Red Lobster. I served at the Red Lobster, which, I want to give them a shout out because they're going through a tough time. They're going through a tough time right now.
They are.
Not that I really patronize them, but they're an institution, and I hate that they're on the way down. But anyways, those biscuits. Apparently that's the only thing that people really want to eat there. Anywho, I applied to the Red Lobster because my girlfriend at the time worked there. She said, you should get a job at Red Lobster. And I went, and it was like, here, can you do math? Like basic arithmetic? Sure, yeah. But then they handed me a personality test, and this was right in the time of like where everybody was like putting out the personality test, right? I mean, I took it at like Best Buy. You took it everywhere you saw it, right? And the manager of the Red Lobster, was a huge Carolina fan. So when he found out that I was at Carolina, he was stoked, right? And then he came back a little hangdog after I took the test, and he was like, you didn't pass the personality test. And I was like, what does that mean? I'm sorry.
Not lobster material, bro.
Yeah. And he was like, dude, I'd hire you in a heartbeat, man. You seem cool and I love Carolina, but like, I have to do this is a corporate thing. And here's the thing. In my defense, this was a poorly designed test, and I'll tell you why. It asks you how much of the day, percentage-wise, 25, 50, 75, 100, 0, you were, and then it would have different adjectives. Now, being an English major, and I was very keen on exactly what these words meant. They were kind of keeping them, they thought they were synonyms like affable and gregarious and all these, and they're not, but they're close. Anyway, so I got way in my head about it. And secondly, I was like, well, I'm not all the time outgoing. Like, I sit and read a lot. Like, I go to sleep. Like, how can you be 100% of the day any of these things? So like I'm like, oh, I'm gregarious 50% of the time. I'm like amiable 25%. And they're like, this guy's not going to get along with the customers. Like, I mean, I didn't realize that until after the fact. Anywho, so that's my personality.
You never told
test.
Me that.
Yeah. No, dude, my girlfriend at the time's name was coincidentally enough Rachel, and she got so mad at me. She was like, you failed a personality. Anyways, okay, I don't want to get us too off track, but I just wanted to commiserate Adam that it happens. I mean, you weren't financial advisor material. I wasn't
Yeah.
Red Lobster material. You know, it happens to people.
The Air Force
Yeah,
doesn't
maybe
have
you
a
are now, though.
personality test.
I feel like the Air Force is one of the few things that should have a personality test. They've got
Yeah, we got
in the
we got
defense of
bombed.
personality tests, they've gotten better at these things. This was way before that big acronym that everybody has in business now, like where you fall. It was way before that sophisticated thing. Needless to say, my first real job in consulting out of college, I did pass the personality test, as it were. Anyways, okay.
Thank God.
I took us on a tangent. I just, wanted to make our guests feel welcome that I too
I appreciate
have been there. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So back to you, Matthias. I'll let you ask another question.
yeah.
I'm sure you got hard-hitting ones over there.
Yeah, I asked an easy one. Now I'm going to go with the hard one that I'm going to take notes and we're going to publish this. So be honest. What's going to happen with the economy in the next few months? Where are interest rates going? Are we going to tank? What's happening?
Sure. I'm gonna give the answer that I always give my clients, and it's like, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, and I've actually threatened some of my clients, like I'm actually going to get a crystal ball and have it on my table when I have meetings with them. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, I know, the Fed has indicated that there will be at least one rate cut in September. Now there's talk of, and we'll find out more tomorrow because our friend Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow. So we'll probably have a little more indication of, is it going to be 25 basis points? Is it going to be 50 basis points in September? We'll see. As far as the overall economy, I mean, it's still such a wild card because it is still an election year, and we still have 3 months until the elections. It's kind of crazy. I still, I look back to 2022 and the conversations that we had when we were having the market downturn that we had in 2022. And the conversation always went back to, stay the course. This is what we do. We buy and hold. We continue to invest. If the market's down, it's a buying opportunity. So I mean, like when we were in Asheville, I was getting text messages because of the sell-off, and it's
Yep.
like, what do I do? And I'm like, you don't do anything. If you do anything, the market's down a little bit. Maybe if you have a little extra money, you buy something.
Yeah.
But other than that, you just continue business as usual and continue to dollar cost average, or invest in whatever you're investing in, and just continue and just stay the course. Keep on your plan.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the answer, had you answered, I think it's going to do this and I predict this and people should do that. It's like, that would be probably the mark of not a great financial advisor, because you can't predict, and you should take all the data points and you should, adjust accordingly. But trying to predict and time the market, that's gotten people, I think like one billionaire has happened and the rest has been ruined. So it was a big short guy. And unless you're the big short guy, good luck.
I think there was
timing the
three of
market.
those
You hit
guys,
on something. You hit on something awesome, because I always say time in the market is better than timing the market. So you want to just continue to put that money in. Whatever market it is, doesn't have to be the stock market. It could be real estate. I know we're going to talk about real estate a little bit today too. So, but whatever you're investing in, just continually put money in and let it do its thing over time.
Yeah, I mean the indicators do make I feel a little bit positive about the rate cut. At least I think that's definitely coming, obviously, which is a big deal to us. But other than that, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that was a fairly tough question. It was a warm up to this one though, because this one's really going to be right to the heart.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't want to undercut you for any of your clients that are going to listen to this, but I would think that they might question your wisdom of being both related to and investing with Matthias. That's a lot. So how's that gone? I want to know. I mean, I've thrown my hat in this ring. So tell me the truth, Adam. How's it like to invest with Capital Velocity and Matthias? What's that been like? What's your history? Just give the listener a little history of what you've done and how's it gone.
Yeah, no, it's actually been great. So a little background on us investing in. So we got in on a real estate deal in Florida. that Matthias and Jen proposed to us, sent to us. It was very appealing to us because you know, my background and where we're at, we are in small town Iowa, and when I say small town, we're talking 5,500 people in our town, right? So you can about imagine that the real estate industry in Iowa Falls, Iowa is not lucrative. Okay. So for us to this and I've always been interested in real estate as well. It's another thing to diversify your portfolio and provide cash flow. And I really got interested in real estate when prior to becoming a financial advisor, I was a commercial loan officer. So I was underwriting some of these deals and approving, some of these real estate deals, multifamily, commercial. And so I could see how this thing's cash flow. And I'm like, man, this is sweet. I said, I need to get into real estate. But then you'd look at some of the deals, here in Iowa Falls, buy a single family home, fourplex, and it's like, well, it really doesn't have the cash flow that I'm looking for. So it was very appealing for us to get into, a larger market that with a deal that would provide, you know, significant cash flow compared to, maybe what we would have here. The other thing that was appealing in investing in another market other than where we are at is my wife Michelle and I are both professionals in this area. So the thought of being a landlord is just not really appealing to us in this area because, again, small town, you piss off one tenant and they go to, talk to the town. It's I
That's
don't
a
know.
good
There's just
point.
a lot of there's a lot of reasons where it makes sense for us to invest in something like this, where we can have a lot more passive role than active, from the time standpoint, cash flows, access to other markets, all the above. So
And you invested in the Fourth Avenue property, right?
correct,
Yeah. Okay.
correct.
For anybody listening, if you want to go to capitalvelocityinvestments.com, you can look at that property and the others. Okay. So, yeah, I would imagine that 5,500, there might be an actual, like, literal town crier who you wouldn't even have to put it on social media. There'd just be somebody walking around downtown, be like, Adam Nederhoff, terrible landlord, slum landlord. And there you go. It's
Uh,
over.
there, there, there has been those situations, not against me, but other people. So out of town here, there's actually a billboard on somebody's farm. There was a bank that upset them, and they still have a sign in their yard that says, "Do not do business with so and so."
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
small town Iowa here, baby.
that's gangster. I like that. I like that a lot because that's going to last a lot longer than a tweet.
Or
Yeah, right. Like,
Yelp review.
yeah,
Yeah, man, that's just every time you drive in and out, it's right there. Oh my
That's
goodness.
yeah.
good. Yeah, I
Wow.
always like to make
Okay.
fun of Adam. I like to make fun of Adam for having an address that's a highway. It's a letter and a highway number. That's his address, his street.
Yeah. I mean, where my mom's family lives in Southern Illinois, the streets are like literally gravel. So they don't even have, I think they
It's
have like
true.
a
I
P.O.
visited.
box. I'm not even sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, living on a highway, I guess it's convenient.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I just have a whole long standing thing with Iowa and making jokes about Iowa that I have come from no kind of reality, just Jen being from there. But so I just start thinking about all those and laughing. Anyways,
Yeah, you and
hey,
everybody else.
listener, we have inside jokes you don't know about. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah. So let's move on. I'm sure they're loving that. Okay. So for somebody who doesn't knows there is this thing called a financial advisor, knows there are people, and understands that there are businesses, and has seen some of the more clever commercials, but doesn't really know what that means. Can you just go a little bit more in depth in like what your goal is, what you're trying to do, what kind of things you're doing for clients, etc.?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. So we and I kind of focus on holistic planning. So we want to take a look at if we're meeting with somebody, we want to make sure that we have the entire financial picture. What does everything look like? Do they have a solid foundation? Do they have their cash flow? Do they have their assets protected? Either got to have that solid foundation before you start building and accumulating wealth. Because as we know, life is uncertain. If there's something that happens to you, some type of emergency that you need to dip into, whether it be emergency reserves or insurance, if you don't have the proper foundation in place, none of the other stuff matters, because then all of that's going to have to come in to cover whatever life event that happens. So I always talk about, like, we can't give general financial advice because everyone's situation is totally different. So the advice that I give Jordan may be way different than what I give Matthias, and what I give Matthias may be way different than his neighbor. Every specific situation is different. So that's what I love about the business too, is because, I can meet with a 20-year-old today, and then tomorrow I meet with somebody that's getting ready to retire. So we got both ends of the spectrum, somebody that's just starting their life, and somebody that is, starting a new chapter in their life, an exciting chapter of their life. So essentially what we want to do is we want to come up with, what's a plan to get you where you want to go, to use money as a tool. Money's not the goal, money's the tool. How do we use money for you to live your life, not just in retirement, because some people get so laser focused on saving for retirement that they don't enjoy life right now. So we want to make sure that we have that balance for everybody, that they're planning for the future and also living life right now. So kind of a general answer, but that's essentially what our goal is with our clients.
So you offer products like if it's a small business owner, for instance, you offer things like, I know I've talked to you at length about retirement accounts for a small business and how you set up a 401k or something like that. You do a lot of that, and you probably advise people, hey, if you don't have a Roth, a personal Roth, things like that. So does you have the ability to like offer products like that, correct?
So there's three different ways that we do business with clients. We do the full-fledged financial planning. We have our managed program. So our managed portfolios where, we're kind of money managers, and then we have money managers in the home office that watch over those accounts, and then we have kind of a solutions base. So if you come to me and say, hey, I need some life insurance, or I want to start a Roth IRA or something like that, just kind of one-off things. Those are kind of the three ways that we work with clients.
Does that kind of answer your question, Jordan, on what does a
sure.
financial advisor do?
I mean, I guess technically it is my question, although I didn't know that one. I did have one when I was like 22. She was very mean. I didn't like her. Seriously, she was not nice to me. I guess she was like, look, it doesn't matter. You're 22. You're just this is set up to your company. Just put money in it. Leave me alone. Which actually does bring me to a question I did have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, unfortunately, that is sometimes the attitude. It's a young person. They have time. I think a lot of the young people slip through the cracks from being able to work with an advisor, because that's not the focus of a lot of people. I personally, like I said before, I mentioned it before. I love working with young people because they are just getting started. And the fact of the matter is, I could walk alongside them for a very, very long time in their journey and see the progress that they make. So it's not, am I going to make a lot of money off of a 22-year-old? No, I'm not. But I know that there's opportunities down the road, and I will be able to see them, make the progress and see the steps that they make along the way. So
yeah, I obviously didn't mean to imply that financial advisors are all mean. This was just one young woman who I don't think really was in the right profession. Actually, one of my best friends from college, who was dead set on being a sports journalist, is now he works for Fidelity. I think he does the same thing. So I mean, I think it's just, and he's a very gregarious person. To use that word again, he passed the test, Adam. Yeah. He's probably older though. He's probably older by that point. Yeah. You did bring up making money. Now, can we just get a breakdown of your fee structure and your commissions?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've asked like the last three, Matthias. So I mean, I feel like it's your turn. I feel like you should carry some of the load.
Okay. Yeah, sure. My question would be, what are your personal and family investing goals as we typically discuss investing here on the Get Invested podcast? What are your goals?
Sure. Um, I guess our goals are just to, I mean, so we're in kind of a unique situation. So we're both we're both kind of on variable pay scale. My wife's in health insurance, so she works on commission. I work on commission. So we really it's tough for us to nail down cash flow from month to month. So that's been a challenge since I got into the business. But I guess from goals, we just want to continue making our dollars work for us. Um, which is why we diversify and we get into real estate, because getting that portfolio, your overall portfolio balanced, is key. Because on a year where 2022, where the stock market's down 25%, we have investments elsewhere that are still providing cash flow and returns. I guess I guess as far as the number goal, I don't really have a number goal of what we want to do for our family. But I guess the big thing that we do have, that we have made a priority, is we want to make sure we're debt free. So we've got, the only debt that we have is our mortgage, and that's what I encourage all my clients to do as well. So we worked hard. We really buckled down a few years ago. Shortly after we got married, we buckled down and we got everything paid off, with the exception of the mortgage. And that has allowed us to really free up our cash flow to be able to invest and really accumulate. And it's been really awesome to see that progress from when we did pay off that debt and where we are now. I mean, and another thing that I would encourage everyone to do is, I do a net worth statement quarterly, just so I'm continuing to track the progress that we're making. And if there is not progress being made, then why is that? Is it because the market's down? Is it, because we didn't invest as much? Is it, what's the reason for us not making progress? So that's something that I do. And I guess just to continually see that number grow, the bottom line number grow, as we continue to pay that debt down and our assets continue to go up, it just exponential growth. Um, so that's kind of, and we've made a priority also to make sure that we have one daughter, so we want to make sure that we're setting her up for success as well. So we're in the position now where we've gone through the steps. So now we're at the step where we can start helping her and start putting money away for her investment money for the future.
So all right, on that note, I have a follow up, because my fiance and I were just looking at, my fiance is Jewish. And so one of her nephews is coming up on, the bar mitzvah. And we're like talking about what the kind of the typical gifts you get. And, there's treasury bonds. There's a lot of kind of staples. But I was like, no. Let's start some, like a college fund, if his parents haven't yet. Do you have any general advice on that? Because I was looking into it. It seems like every state kind of has like the same thing. Is there a good way to do that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to save for kids and their futures. There's 529 plans, which they have their tax
Mm-hmm.
benefits depending on what state you're in. And then there's also, there's UTMA or UGMA accounts. It's Uniform Trust to Minors account, or Uniform Gift to Minors account. And that's kind of the one that I typically lean towards,
Over the
because
529.
and the reason being is I don't know if my daughter's going to want to go to college. Okay.
Sure.
So
Right.
$529 are restricted for education. So they
Mhm.
have to be used for education, or there's
Hmm.
penalties involved. So we've kind of gone the route of the UGMA. I have since actually started the 529, because they did change some of the things with the 529, where now you can roll over a portion of that into a Roth IRA if it's used for education purposes. So that sweetened the deal a little bit, in my opinion, for the 529. But up until they made that change, I was all for UTMAs for the simple fact that I don't know. I don't know if my kid's gonna want to go to college. Maybe she wants to go to, cosmetology school, or maybe she just wants to start a business right out of high school. I don't know. So,
No, that's a
and then
great point.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that
it's
is
just
such a
not,
great point. I mean, I know I'm like the last person you would think would say this since I have a PhD and I used to teach both college and high school, but no, I was like so annoyed at my high school for not having like a strong vocational program and like just even information about where you can go to learn like really valuable skills and have a career that doesn't require college. It's like everybody has to go to college or you're a failure. And I was like, that is ridiculous. We would not have built our society if that were the case.
Everybody's
Like,
a
so,
PhD.
yeah, we could all, I mean, I could fix a toilet, but not like a plumber can. I definitely can't lay the pipe. So that is a great point. Now, let me ask you one last question, since I actually do just get to ask personal, selfish questions because this is a show that is supposed to teach me things. Now, I know on the 529, one of the things that's cool about it is that anybody can throw money into it. Whereas like a Roth or something, you can't, that's not the case. Is the UGMA the same way? Okay. All
so
right.
so with the UTMA, you have a custodian. So you could start one for the kid if you wanted to, or you can put money in. There's just you have to be mindful of the gift exclusion. So you can do a certain amount each year you can gift,
Right.
and
I
still
mean,
and
I'm not going to
still
be giving them that
so
much.
they
It's not my kid.
I didn't know how much you like the kid. I don't know.
Well, I like him a lot, but he's not, he's
Yeah.
not mine.
Yeah. So no, that's
uh,
that's a good, because that's something that I encourage as well. It's like, you know, my daughter gets all this stuff from from people. And it's like, maybe you just put some money in her in her fund, for her
well,
future.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, Rachel's mom just bought this nephew Ori like $150 Lego set. I was like, buy him a
Whoa, that sounds
$30 Lego
awesome.
set.
Mhm.
Oh, I bet it is really sweet, and we would have totally played with it when we were kids, and probably even to this day. But would he have also been
For
happy
sure.
with a $50 one and $100 for later? But yeah, I mean I can't emphasize how much that's a great paradigm shifting like point about doesn't need to be necessarily for college just to set them up with an
Mhm.
opportunity, whatever that
Yeah.
opportunity might be.
And they can use it. I mean, that can be used now, so that it just, as long as it benefits the child, that money can be used for that child. So yeah, it's I
Cool.
I I like the option. And the good thing is whether it be 529 or the UTMA, it can be invested in something other than, like a bank savings account that's going to get you 1% interest. So I think a lot of people, when they start saving for a kid, they just have a savings account at the bank and they think that's good enough. And it's like, you know what?
Right.
I mean, these kids aren't going to use this for 15 years. There's a lot of growth potential that can happen from now until they actually need this money.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yeah,
inflation that
absolutely.
could happen to eat it away too.
Correct. Correct. Yep.
Now, can I put a
Absolutely.
proviso on it that he can only use my money for public college because private is ridiculous and no one needs to do that?
He's just scared to go to Duke.
No, a good Jewish boy from Ohio. I don't think he's going to end up at Duke, but that is a worry, of course. That is always a worry.
I wouldn't want him at Duke
Now,
either.
speaking of numbers, I am sure that you probably saw Matthias's post about it when he reached 5 million. He was going to buy a suite at the Kansas City Chiefs game, and I bring this up
Oh, I
because
saw that.
oh yeah, I bet you did. So I mean, I just it just happens to be almost football season. So I'm assuming you will be making it down for that game, yeah?
I'm only 3.5 hours away, so I'm good to go. It's a
Now, are
short
you
drive
a
for me.
Chiefs fan? Because like Iowa kind of shares, depends on where you grew up, right?
If he's around me, he
So
is.
I've jumped on the Chiefs bandwagon a little bit for my AFC team. I never really had an AFC team, so I'll say the Chiefs are my AFC team, but I don't really want to admit who my actual NFL team is. So they may wear purple and gold, and
Oh,
are up north. So
that's fun. Never be embarrassed about
kind
a
of
team
embarrassing.
that is geographically appropriate.
Yeah.
Although they're further
Well,
away
anyway,
from him than the Chiefs are technically.
Well, who was shown?
it'd be about the same. It'd be about the
Oh, is it
same.
really?
Who was
Up to
shown on
Minneapolis.
TV? Who's shown on TV?
They both are. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
we
say they're
have
both
like
AFC, NFC.
Oh, so they went
yeah.
back and
So
forth. Yeah,
typically CBS shows the AFC and then the NFC's on
right.
Fox. So yeah.
Oh, I guess you just made you made a choice, and then you should stick with it.
I'll
Matthias,
tell
if
you
you
what,
want me to wear
if I'm
Chiefs
in a-
gear, I'm gonna need something black. Just I don't do red.
That's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna wear something red hat maybe. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, okay, maybe a hat.
I was gonna say if you get me in a sweep, I'll become a Chiefs fan probably. No.
Sure. Yeah, we had some tentative dates that went out to all the dudes. We have not made a final decision yet, but there will be posts and there will be notifications. I get people still on LinkedIn. By the way, I think that particular post got like another 4,000 views in the last couple of weeks because it hit just some weird milestone where it popped back. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. It's over 195,000 views now. But I do get random, hey, you got any spots left? And I'm like, some dude I don't know from Adam. It was pretty. It's still funny that people still see it and reach out about it.
It was a doozy.
My email must have got lost in the inbox.
No, I told you we texted. We were texting.
I don't remember the date either, honestly.
Well, he can drive.
I'm more
He doesn't
concerned
need to
about
get flights.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about who. Not super concerned, but it'd be interesting to know who were the possible opponents.
Raiders was one of them, and Broncos was another, or maybe it was Chargers.
Well,
there's some December.
Okay, if they're
dates
playing the
we're looking
Raiders,
at.
I'm not going to wear black, obviously.
That would be a problem.
So, well, while we're on the topic of, this is a pretty good segue to this question. Do you got any feel-good stories in your career that just the kind of thing that, and by the way, I think I'm being a bad host. I should mention that you work for Thrivent. Is there any feel-good stories from your time at Thrivent that, that you recall and that you think back on as far as that big kind of helping people motto?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'll just kind of briefly talk about them. But again, I just use the example of there was a young couple that they had just gotten married. They were expecting their first kid, and they just they were just really worried about. They wanted to make sure that they were doing what's right, and they want to make sure that they were preparing for their kid, and they were going to do what's best for their kid, and they were just really just kind of nervous about it. So I just kind of sat them down and just showed them, this is kind of the map that you make sure you have your emergency fund in place. Check, they already had that. Make sure you have your life insurance, disability insurance to protect your cash flow. We got that set up for them. The next step would be, start contributing to your retirement accounts, Roth IRAs, that type of thing. And they left there just feeling great. And they were just thrilled about it. And you could just see the excitement and the determination when they left there. So that was just kind of a feel good. The other one would be, it was another client that came in kind of worried, but they were getting close to retirement age, and they really kind of wanted to retire, but because they were just ready, and they just didn't feel like they were ready financially. And so we sat down, and I kind of went over our whole process with them. We have a planning software that we can use, and it does what's called a Monte Carlo simulation. It stress tests their plan, and I went through that with them. Show them that their probability of success in retirement if they were to retire now with how things were right now, and everything looked great. There's people that they're ready to retire. They mentally are ready to retire, but financially they're not ready to retire. And this guy was, he was so worried that he wasn't financially ready, but he was so ready. And so he went out of there just just excited that he was going to be able to stay. He had a trip that he wanted to take, so he was excited to get that booked, and he was just that was really cool. Just to you know just calm his nerves and let him know like, hey, you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna be great. So those are just a couple
Yeah,
of
I can imagine that'd
quick
be a good
examples.
day, like it's like getting a clean bill of health when you've been sick for a long time. The doctor says, "No,
Right.
you're good to go, bro. Just take off."
Yeah.
That's gotta be
Yep.
cool.
So yeah, and I mean, I think he was just a nervous personality anyway. So it just but it was just nice to be able to reassure him that things are going to be okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the just wait at that point. Did you advise him to not, don't go do like a mic drop moment at your job, be classy?
I think he was about ready to. I think he was having time.
I said good day.
Now, I have to ask you this as a man of the word. That makes it sound like I'm a minister. That's not what I meant. But that's my father. No, just thrive it. Obviously, there's a thrive in there. What's your favorite motto that the company's come up with? And by favorite, I mean the most ridiculous.
Let's get
Or do
fired.
they not do that?
Not really. Not really. I do like I mean, I wouldn't call it ridiculous, but I do the one that I used earlier, we kind of use the money is a tool, not a goal. I really
Oh,
like that.
that's a great little, no,
Yeah.
That's great.
It's solid, yeah.
They're not,
And
they're
I
not doing
know-
any cheesy puns.
No.
Okay. No, I like that one. That one's
Not
good.
that I'm aware of anyway.
Okay. All right. I mean, I got more
I'm just-
Matthias. I don't want to hog him.
I think no, so I was gonna say I think his phone number is 877 cash now, right? Isn't that one of the
Yeah.
one of the
yeah,
five-
right, yeah. That's one of the products. You just walk in there
That's
and
my
you're like,
direct
oh, you want
line.
some money? Here, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta be that dude in the commercial with the Viking hat. He's singing. I love it. Now go ahead, Jordan. Hit him with a last question here.
Oh, ooh. I saved what I think might be the best for the last. It might be, maybe it's just the most interesting. I don't know. What I wanted to know, what is the most common thing you have to talk a client out of for their own good? And what's the most common thing you have to talk a client
It's a
into
good one.
for their own good?
Okay. I would say the most common thing we have to talk somebody out of is selling because because a lot of times, again, we're talking about 2022, you talk about 2008, you talk about the sell off that we had a couple weeks ago. When people are investing and they're investing their own money, it is so emotional. It is so emotional.
Panic is real.
So it's panic sell. So there are a lot of times where we have to have that conversation that I talked about. It's like you stay the course. Everything's going to be okay. Historically, the stock market has a gain 75% of the time and it's down 25% of the time. Okay. I like those odds. Stick with it. Stay the course. So
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest thing that we have to talk somebody out of. And there's other things, like there's some specific products that maybe I wouldn't recommend to somebody and that somebody else is pitching that product and I might maybe talk them out of it. But I would say probably the biggest thing is talking them out of selling and getting, they're thinking about getting out and we want that they should stay in. So probably the one that we have to try to talk them into or make them realize that they really are going to want is probably life insurance and disability insurance.
That's what I was going to
Those are
say.
two.
That was my guess.
So those are and honestly, disability insurance, life insurance is talked about a lot in our industry, but I think disability insurance is overlooked a lot. It's something that we're all about. What we want to do is we want to protect your cash flow and your assets. Those are two ways, especially for young people. You think about just whether it be life insurance or disability insurance, if either one of those events happen, you don't have your income. You think about how much income a young person stands to earn over their years. They call it the human life value. You know, I mean, they figure that out. If you get sued, for something, they're
I'm
gonna,
not sure that's
you
great
know,
branding, but sorry.
Human life value.
Human
Lots
life
of
value,
20
what they're going to
cents.
make over the
I mean, look it up, man.
That's
Look
a very
it up.
Orwellian phrase.
Look it up after the call. You'll
It's
see
got to
it.
be a number.
They use it. They use it when there's. I mean, it's the same thing they use when there's a lawsuit, and they figure out, well,
Yeah.
how
Oh
much.
yeah.
How
I
much
know.
was this person
Potential
going
earning.
to? You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not
So-
saying that it's not a good concept. I'm saying the name for it is not great.
Yeah. So I would say that's really the one that we try to hit home a lot, is because, as I mentioned earlier, you know, you have to have your a solid foundation before you can worry about, you know, the next steps. And those are two things that are a huge part of that foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that you were going to say the hardest thing you have to talk them into is actually working with you, but I mean, I guess I just misunderstood my own question.
Everybody wants to work with Adam.
Of course they do.
I mean,
That's why he's
a
on.
given.
We wanted to work with him. That's a
Not a
given.
variable.
All right. Well, we really appreciate Adam giving us some of his time. I suppose time works the same in Iowa Falls as it does here. So we're about at that time. We're going to just make sure Adam lets us all know where you guys can find him if you have any more follow-up questions for what he offers. So Adam, let us know.
Yeah. So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So you can just look me up on LinkedIn. I do the Facebook and Instagram, so you can check me out on there. My email is adam.nederhoff@thrivent.com. Probably the best way to initiate a conversation, and then we can connect via phone later on.
For our just people listening, not watching, you want to spell that last name there, bud?
Sure. Yep, it's NEDERHOFF.
All right.
And we'll link to all this in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll definitely in the show notes. We'll have this down there for sure. Absolutely. And we probably, honestly, I'm going to steal that money as a tool, not the goal thing. That's probably going to be in there too.
I like it. There's another podcast that I listen to that they use that.
There are other podcasts?
So. Yeah. I believe it or not. Yeah. This one's been
Probably
around
a lock
for a
on this.
while.
What's this podcast actually? Maybe I should listen to it.
The Money Guy Show. It's one of my go-tos. I listen to it all the time. So it's got a little they have a lot of the same principles as Ramsey, but some things that are a little different that I kind of agree with maybe a little more. So they've had Dave Ramsey on their show, so they get along really well. They're kind of in the same area, that Nashville, Tennessee area.
That's who we're coming for.
Yeah.
Obviously, is Ramsey.
Yeah, there we go.
All
Tens
right,
of listeners are going to overtake them.
Yeah, we're just coming right at them so fast. So yes, tens of listeners out there. We're gonna have to sign off here and get out of here and go back to making good investments. I hope. So for Jordan and Matthias and Adam, we're all going to say good day. Hope you enjoyed this and hope we have you back next week on the Get Invested podcast. Peace.